Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall.
105.9 FM.
And AM 630.
WMAL.
7:07. Happy Monday morning to you, if you can say such a thing. Brian Neiman, Brian Wilson is on vacation. Katie Pavlich from Town Hall, author of the book Fast and Furious, is in the studio this morning. Thanks for coming in, Katie.
I'm happy to be here.
We will get into greater detail about Fast and Furious and where it stands in the 8 o'clock hour. Also open the phones. It's coming up about 1 hour from now. But right now, Joe diGenova, our legal expert, is on the line, former U.S. Attorney to the District of Columbia. Good morning, Joe. How are you?
Good morning. Great.
So, the Obama campaign and the DNC is suing Ohio over the early voting law, which allows members of the military and their spouses to vote until the Monday before Election Day, and everybody else is cut off on Friday. They're saying, hey, this isn't fair because it creates winners and losers, or some people can go a little bit longer than others. Do they have a legal leg to stand on?
I don't think they do, and I think it's a very foolish lawsuit, but it does show serious concern among Obama about what's going on in Ohio. What they're doing is they're suing in federal court, saying this is a denial of equal protection, and ironically citing Bush v. Gore in their pleadings. As you know, Democrats always sue first, just like they did in Florida. And now they have started a campaign against the military in Ohio. I am speechless over the political stupidity of this. Mm-hmm. The only reason they would be doing this is if they really are worried through internal polling about how bad things are underground in Ohio. This is remarkably stupid.
But even so, I mean, that's what we were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What's the upside?
I can see none other than getting a ruling from the court that says the military can't vote up until Monday. They have to vote on Friday. So if you're in Iraq or Afghanistan, you say, get me that ballot fast. I want to get this in. I mean, I find this, second of all, who says they're going to lose the military vote? The president apparently, according to a lot of people, has good numbers inside the military. They like the fact that he's become the assassin-in-chief. They like drones doing the killing rather than them, so they're not subject to the kind of violence they have been. I mean, I don't get this, except that it clearly is part of a legal strategy designed to get the wheels rolling early, because we do know that they have a huge legal team ready to go to do ballot challenges right after the election. They have a lawsuit approach to winning this election after November. It's really quite remarkable.
Mm-hmm. Well, on that note of being lawsuit happy, what do you think the Obama administration's next target is going to be in terms of voter ID? We talk about equal protection, and conservatives and most people in this country would argue that voter ID actually does level the playing field for everyone, and it makes it so everyone has a vote and their votes aren't stolen by people who go in and falsely represent themselves. What do you think is going to happen next with that?
As Democrats are fond of saying, the Democrats are on the wrong side of history on voter ID. The Supreme Court has already ruled in an Indiana case several years ago that requiring a photograph is not a denial of equal access, it's not a denial of due process, it's not a denial of equal protection. States have the right to pass reasonable laws to make sure that people voting are really citizens. Now, the Democrats don't really care if you're a citizen when you vote. So obviously, they have set about another legal strategy, which is to waste the time of local elected officials on this before the onslaught the day of and the day after the election in November. The voter ID assault by Holder and the Department of Justice really, truly is a disgrace. And it's not going to win. They are not going to win in any jurisdiction.
All right, the Democrats, led by Harry Reid, are out there saying, you know what, Mitt Romney hasn't really paid his taxes in 10 years, and we've got sources that tell us that. There's no evidence to it, just the sources that they have.
The source is the White House, actually.
But members of Congress can basically say anything they want, right, on the House floor or the Senate floor?
As long as they say it on the House and Senate floor, under Article 1 of the Constitution, they are covered by what's called the Speech or Debate Clause, which gives them total immunity. They cannot be held accountable, as it says, in another place, meaning a civil courtroom, for libel and slander. Now, just picture this. You remember Mike Mansfield, the tall, dignified Senate Majority Leader, the Democratic Senate Majority Leader, who was from Montana. Can you picture Mike Mansfield, the former ambassador to Japan, going on the floor and doing what Harry Reid did the other day? Harry Reid really is a pygmy. I mean, he is a remarkable sleazeball. And yet, what's interesting about Harry Reid is he did this purposely.
Yes, of course.
He did this purposely. He did it on the floor twice because it's not libel. But listen to this. He's still subject to an ethics complaint. In fact, he may have actually brought the Senate into disrepute by doing what he did the other day. And remember, this is a guy who resigned his law license in Nevada. Now, why would you give up a law license? A very lucrative thing. Because Harry didn't want law complaints, ethics complaints filed against him in Nevada for stuff that he was doing with his sons on real estate investments. This guy is a remarkable, remarkable evil man. And what he did the other day is really one of the worst. It is so McCarthy-like. That's Joe McCarthy from the 1950s.
Right.
It was truly one of the sleaziest moments in the history of the U.S. Senate, what Reid did the other day.
Which is to say, hey, you are this, you're a communist, you are a tax cheat.
I have a list.
And I've got a list.
I have a list
you
of all
prove
the
that you're not.
taxes you haven't paid. I have a list of all the taxes you haven't paid.
Oh, I'm glad that you brought up Harry Reid and his long history of ethics violations, possibly in Nevada with his son, because the latest is that he's helping a Chinese solar firm represented by his son. And so, like you said, he set it up this way. He set up his getting rid of his law license in a way that he can participate in these things that aren't necessarily ethical and get away with it.
That's exactly right. That's a company from China. It's called ENN Mojave Energy, and they are trying to get solar energy into Nevada at a cost of like 5 to 10 times what regular energy costs, and Harry Reid just thinks it's great, and his son Rory Reid, is in a law firm that's playing a major role in doing that. But, of course, Harry doesn't know anything about it. I mean, Reid really is a throwback to almost the days of when the Senate and the House were on rampage against individual freedoms and against the reputations of people.
All right.
A guy who becomes worth $10.36 million while he's in the U.S. Senate, and gives up his law license. What's strange about this picture?
All right, before we let you go, the Sikh temple shooting in Wisconsin, the police have not released the suspect's name. Any reason for that at this point? And, are we going to see a hate crime involved in this when the charges come out?
Of course, we don't know about the last thing, the hate crime, but one of the reasons they're doing it is that what law enforcement people have discovered over time is when they give out information, they corrupt their ability to get information from other people. To get people coming forward, people come forward with false information.
Right.
They get too many leads. In this case, where there appears to have been no accomplices, although they're clearly investigating whether there were other accomplices, they feel like they have a freer hand to investigate quickly and without interference. They clearly know where his house is. They've already executed at least one search warrant there. They just want a little bit of space before social media takes over and basically corrupts the intellectual crime scene.
Gotcha. All right, Joe. It's always a pleasure to have you on. Thanks very much.
You bet, guys.
Joe diGenova, our legal expert. So we'll get a live report from the Olympics with ABC's Alex Stone coming up.